So, can horses read your mind? That's sort of the thing I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, because my feeling is that almost yes. I can't really explain it. I don't know why it works, but it never ceases to amaze me how when you're thinking something, you can get horses almost to do it. Like I remember years ago, I had this little sort of chubby, my first horse, Chucky, I talked about him before, and I was at a dressage show, not with Chucky, just myself as an observer, and I was watching a really advanced rider on this really beautiful horse, and they had just some lovely moments of this beautiful sort of collected trot where you really felt like the horse, had came through his back, kind of sat down behind and just carried himself beautifully with this really beautiful cadence trot. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing. And I went back to the farm that day after being at the horse show, and I got on old Chucky, and Chucky, like he was a draft cross of some kind, right? He wasn't exactly a beautiful dressage horse or anything, but I was so enthralled with that picture in my mind's eye, like that when I got on Chucky, I started riding him around, and I started trying to kind of, I don't know, like I sort of could picture him doing it. And for the first and probably only time ever, Chucky actually had a beautiful round cadence trot. Like it was the most magical feeling, which I never managed to get again, but it was the most amazing thing. And I think it was really because I had such a vision of it in my head, and somehow I don't know why, it transferred to the horse. And it still makes no sense to me, but it seems to work all the time, And, Harris is lying down for a roll. Now, Harris is the reason I'm mentioning this today, because yesterday I was in the arena with Harrison, and we haven't spent much time together at all because it's been really busy. And so we did, I brought him in here last night, and we were kind of doing a few things, just going through some groundwork stuff, and he was good and everything, but he kept, he's a very mouthy horse, so he's sort of nipping at me and biting the whole time. I was like, oh, for God's sake, and he just wouldn't stop, and I wasn't irritated with him, but I, a little bit aggravated, right, that he wouldn't give it up. At any rate, at some point, when I was looking at him, and I noticed that on his shoulder, just at the top of the scapula, he's rubbed off a whole bunch of his hair. Like it was really shocking to me, the size of this mark that he'd rubbed himself raw. And so I stopped dead in my tracks. I said, oh, Harrison, what have you done to yourself? And I go to look at it, and he stopped absolutely dead in his tracks. He stopped trying to bite me, and he just stood there, and he put his head down as I looked at his shoulder and sort of touched where all the hair was missing and this and that. And I thought to myself, like, my whole mental process had changed at that moment, where I wasn't thinking, stop trying to bite me, for goodness sakes, we're trying to get this work done. But it turned into real sort of empathy of noticing what was the matter with him. And it changed how he reacted to me so completely that I thought, my gosh, they really can read your mind. So anyway, that's it for this week, but I do think it's something to think about, that the mindset or the thoughts that we bring to the work with horses, and you'd think after 40 years I would know this, but it never ceases to amaze me how what I think about when I'm riding the horse, the kind of picture I'm trying to imagine in my mind, or the mind, sort of the presence that I have when I'm with the horse working, it always affects the horse, whether for the good or the bad, depending on what my mindset is or what my picture in my mind is. It's like, if you think you're going to fall off a horse, chances are you're going to fall off the horse, right? There's all sorts of examples in my life of this, and I think it's probably time that I just accept the fact that maybe horses can read your mind. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll talk to you next time. Remember to thank your horse. Talk to you soon.